Hey there, welcome back once again. It's time for the Smoking Puck. That's right, Reverend Sully's homegrown, blazing, and coming right at you. It's my old fashioned Boston based hockey blog, now in video format. That's right, the triumphant return of the Smoking Puck. And it's the off season. There's not much to talk about, or is there? Let's see, a wise hockey voice, a hockey beat reporter named Dale Arnold, who is a play-by-play announcer as well for many years, local legend, and he said something wise about hockey. You can really only talk about hockey for about 15 minutes because it's a simple sport. You pass the puck, you shoot the puck, you score the goal, you save the puck, you have line changes, and then there are lines to the restroom and the concession stands. That's and it's the good old hockey game. It's the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. That's right. A couple of things that have happened coming up this week is July 1st, and that is the start of free agency. Yeah, I mean, that's the gates are open. We're going to see many teams chomping at the bit for the best unrestricted and restricted free agency out there. So we got one of my favorite all-time players, Brad Marchand, former captain of the Boston Bruins, traded away. He got fired, but he got traded to he was lucky. He got traded to the Florida Panthers, and he won his second Stanley Cup. And he, as of July 1st, will be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his career. It's a glorious time for any veteran. He's 37 years old. He's come back from many injuries. He's at the peak of his game. He is the kind of hockey player any team would want. I'm kind of wearing my Red Wings jersey. This old thing, I'm actually, what divided the Bruins and Brad Marchand? Really don't know. There's not too many details. But Brad coming onto his, free agency, bucking for position and leveraging with his agent in conversations with Bruins management, he wanted 3 years. The Bruins are offering 2 years. Now, that means when Brad retires at the end of the 3-year contract, he'll be 41 years old. And probably, and that will be his 20th NHL season, his 19th or 20th season. And that's impressive for any professional athlete, especially the toll that such a physical sport takes on a human body. There is a butcher's bill at the end of your career. And these are the last few years of your career. So you're going to get the best deal possible for yourself, your family, and, you can go into broadcasting, coaching, the sky's the, consulting. That's what these people do, I guess. But, Brad Marchand will be an unrestricted free agent come July 1st. Let's see, unrestricted. Let's just look at NHL free agents 2025. The top free agents available in the 2025 season. 57 minutes. Okay, this is from USA Today. Let's share the screen. Sharing screens. Share the screens. Wow, that's an ad. The biggest question. This is an article on USA Today written by Mike Brem from today, published only 1 hour ago. NHL free agents 2025, the best ranking players available. Sam Bennett, who was the Conn Smythe Trophy winner and the playoff MVP, he re-signed already with an 8-year deal in Florida. Now, also, Florida is courting Brad Marchand, and Brad Marchand really likes it down there because one of my best friends, like I'm still in this ongoing hockey talk conversation with my high school best friends. We've been going on near 40 years. We've been talking hockey amongst ourselves. And Scotty brought up the fact that, well, one, Marchand loves it in Florida. He thought it was the best thing for him. He loves the group. He loves the city. But there's no income tax in Florida. That's interesting, isn't it? Also, the lifestyle, living in Miami or, suburban Miami. Just like there's so much down there. Heck, I like Florida. Sheesh. I got family down there. I'll probably end up moving down there, for retirement, maybe. You never know. The biggest question as the NHL heads to free agency on July 1st is who will be left? Because Florida is trying to sign up Brad Marchand and also is it Eklund? Yeah, there's so Sam Bennett, he just signed an 8-year deal, $64 million. John Tavares, he left money on the table with a 4-year deal, averaging $4.8 million a year, but he gets to stay and probably retire as a Toronto Maple Leaf. John Tavares was originally a first-round draft pick from the New York Islanders, who we'll talk about later because it also is the first round of the NHL draft is going on, and the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame picks are in as well. Matt Duchene is back with the Stars, a trade line acquisition. Trent Frederick, ex-Bruin, he got traded. He got fired too. And Charlie Coyle, he already got traded from Colorado to the Columbus Blue Jackets, I believe. Trent Frederick re-signed with the Edmonton Oilers for 8 years. Wow, he got a good contract. Jonathan Toews decided on the Winnipeg Jets for his comeback. All reports out of Canada say the Maple Leafs and Vegas Golden Knights are discussing the possibility of a sign and trade deal involving Toronto's Mitch Marner. If that happens, it would take the top free agent off the market. So here is the list from as spoken from USA Today. Mitch Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs, his best career, 102 points last season and 3 other 90-point seasons, all with Toronto. The postseason's another matter because the Maple Leafs end up becoming the make-believes in the postseason. They haven't won the big game since 1968, I believe. It's when was the last one? The Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley. When was the last time? When was the last time it was 1967. Very extremely interested in this sport. Thank you, Google. Forward Brad Marchand is number 2. He was shockingly traded to the Panthers in March, then put together a playoff to remember with 10 goals. 6 of those were in the Stanley Cup Finals as he made some spectacular moves for a 37-year-old tenacious forward with great vision, great hands, great skills in the twilight of his career. He was literally fired, though, from the Boston Bruins. I'll tell you that much. Why? Because that was that locker room could not be led. So that's why Trent Frederick was traded. Charlie Coyle was traded. Brad Marchand. Just who else? There's a couple of others. It's gonna bite me. I'll remember at 5 a.m. I'm like, hey, oh yeah, and defenseman Aaron Ekblad, and he was the number 1 draft pick in 2014. Has won 2 cups with the Florida Panthers, and so both Marshy and Ekblad are already being heavily courted by the Florida Panthers to stay there. For Marchand, though, I mean, like I'm thinking he might sign with someone like Detroit or Chicago. the kind of city that needs a player like Brad Marchand, that he could be a captain and retire a captain for his asking price, that they will pay him, and that he's a draw. And I could totally see that happening. I could totally see him ending up in Detroit or Chicago, signing, immediately becoming the captain. And that kind of tenacious style of Brad Marchand, represents Boston hockey, and it also represents, that toughness of Chicago hockey and Detroit Motor City hockey. Heck, you can see the Rangers wanting to pick him up too. It's like they need to, that they're better off than the Maple Leafs, but when it comes to playoff luck. But I mean, gee, let's see who else. Brock Boeser from for the Canucks. Michael Granlund from the Stars. Vladislav Garakov from the LA Kings. Patrick Kane from the Detroit Red Wings. He's no longer the prolific scorer he was, but he's topped 20 goals in the past 2 seasons since he returned from a hip injury. Former 3-time Stanley Cup winner in Chicago, Patrick Kane. Claude Giroux, wow. His numbers have dropped in the past 2 seasons in Ottawa, but Giroux, 37, still got 50 points, is a former captain. I wonder if the Bruins will make any big splashes in the free agent market. You never know. People say oh yeah, Brad Marchand might re-sign with the Bruins. He will not. I'm telling you, he got fired. He couldn't leave the locker room, and it's just that's he helped. We also got our coach fired too this season, and it was a complete prolapse of leadership in that locker room. Seriously, and a complete 180 from the year before. Seriously, wow. I've never heard of any of these people. Nate Schmidt, Connor Brown, Andrei Kuzmenko, Matt Grzelcyk, he was former Bruin, Jonathan Drouin, Brent Burns. He's 40. And Corey Perry, he's also 40, but he's like an X factor. Corey Perry's been, he had gotten in some major trouble in Chicago, some off the ice antics. And he ended up on the Oilers 2 seasons ago as a kind of, redemption arc. And so he's been part of the Oilers' success, who have made the Stanley Cup Finals in the past 2 seasons. It was been a rematch. It was great with Stanley Cup 2 years in a row. But Corey Perry, former captain of the Anaheim Ducks, wow, great player. I would love to see Corey Perry come and finish his career in Boston, but we have a bad, habit of signing past their prime players, and just that's it. If you're gonna make a free agent split, and that is the free agent class of 2025. Here on the Smoking Puck. Oh, that's right. And so yeah, that's my prediction is that if Brad Marchand could quite possibly sign in Florida, with the team, because they could be that's a team with a high probability of a dynasty. That Florida has won the Stanley Cup 5 times in the 21st century. 3 times at Tampa Bay in 2004, I think 2019 and 2020, and then the past 2 years with Miami, Sunrise, Florida, rather, and the Florida Panthers. And the Panthers, speaking as someone who's been eliminated by the Panthers the past couple of years, we end up, my Boston Bruins, facing them late in the playoffs. This team is no joke. It's a very well-built team, and they are scrappy, tenacious players as well. They have a reputation of maybe dirty play. Sure. I mean, hockey's a tough sport. It really is. What else? We got draft picks. All right. We're going to look at some draft picks. Share the screen. This is from NHL.com. This is the first round. I think the second round is today. And is the second round here? Yeah. Oh, there is the second round. Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. It's already all done. Oh, yeah. The 6th round. Okay. But The number one draft pick went to the number one draft pick of the year went to the New York Islanders. Matthew Schaefer. He's a 6'2" defenseman out of Erie in the OHL. I think that's the Ottawa Hockey League, the Ontario Hockey League. That's major junior hockey. Now there are a couple of things. So the draft. What are like drafted players? Drafted players come out of a couple of different systems of hockey. One, there's international play, like Russian players, Swedish players, especially when it comes to goalies. Like Finland has got an excellent goalie mentality and system. They've been exporting NHL caliber goalies for about 2 decades now. Very large men who know how to play between the pipes with very artistically done masks and helmets. I'm a born-again goalie. I love playing goal when I play hockey. I haven't played hockey in years. But Matthew Schaefer, yep, he's the first overall draft pick by the New York Islanders. And there's Michael Misa. I've never even heard of all these kids. He plays for Saginaw. And then there's Sweden. This is Anton Frondell. Got picked by Chicago. He's a center. He's 6'2", 204 pounds. He's from Sweden. And he plays for Djurgården. And CQMJHL, that's the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. And these are just teenage, college age hockey players. It's called Major Junior Hockey League. And it's a Canadian thing. It's like, this is where your huge quell of hockey players come from. There are 32 teams in the NHL. There are over 800 players in the Players Association, in the Players Union, at any given time. And then there's minor leagues of different varying degrees, from the American Hockey League, which is the AAA baseball, down to the international. I think the International League fold again. The IHL, the old IHL. But there are several different hockey leagues out there in North America, and but these major junior hockey teams and leagues up in Canada are specifically for teenage and college age young men, and the United States have college hockey like NCAA, Big Ten, ECAC, colleges. The same thing. There's a huge difference, though, I think intrinsically. And then there come the international players, too. And they play on Olympic-sized ice overseas, which is bigger. And it's a different style of hockey. It's less physical because you have that open ice. And it gets pretty hard to play a checking game. You get 2 extra strides, 3 extra strides, and you're taking off. You can avoid hits that way. And with the smaller, more intimate size of the of NHL North American style hockey, it's just that's where and that's why fisticuffs is a dispute resolution tool. Now, fisticuffs are a match penalty in college hockey, basically verboten, while fisticuffs are an accepted form of dispute resolution in the Canadian major junior leagues. And it's a different paradigm, a different style. They also wear half shields, not full face shields and full cages. I've always noticed that American hockey players tend to get their sticks up dangerously high because their chins are protected, and there's a kind of body, a muscle memory, if you're playing with half shields up in Canada, with an exposed jaw, that you will keep your elbows down, you will keep your sticks down, because there is a social contract. You don't want to be injuring other players. Seriously, they could be your teammate one day. So my Boston Bruins have selected James Haggins. It's a center. He's 5'11", and that's out of Hockey East. That's the division here in Boston. We play Hockey East here, and they all report to the NCAA finals if they're good enough. He's out of Boston College, so this is some special Boston syzygy. Boston and Montreal, in Toronto, that they love hometown boys, because we are a hockey city here in Boston. So there's a hometown kind of thing to it. James Haggins, I don't think he's, I don't know if he's from Boston originally. Don't say, but yeah, it's the first round. So the hockey draft has come and gone. Indeed. And leading to us all the players that could be named to the Hockey Hall of Fame this year. Only a few get in. Your eligibility. And sometimes people get in their first year of eligibility. It's, let's see. The Hockey Hall of Fame Selection Committee consists of 18 individuals appointed by the board of directors, whose mandate is to nominate and elect candidates as honored members in the player, builder, and referee linesman per categories. Players and referee linesperson candidates must have concluded their respective playing or officiating career for a minimum of 3 playing years. View full election procedures. Let's look at that real quick. What are the criteria of selecting candidates for the Hockey Hall of Fame? You don't necessarily need to have been a perennial Stanley Cup winner. Breaking records definitely helps, really. But it's also your impact on a city, on a team, and as a player themselves. And, the following attributes to provide the basis on which the election of nominees to honored membership are to be considered. Player, playing ability, sense of fair play, character, and contributions to his or her team or teams in the game of hockey in general. For a builder, that's a coaching, managerial, or executive ability in another significant off-ice role. Sense of fair play, character, and contributions to his or her organization or organizations and to the game of hockey in general. And then the referee or linesperson, the officiating ability, sense of fair play, character, and contribution to his or her organization or organizations and to the game of hockey in general. Eligibility for elections. For a player must have not played in a professional or international hockey game during any of the 3 playing seasons prior to her election. So you must be, retired for at least 3 years until you are first eligible to be elected as a nominee. And that's just your nomination. Then you get elected. A builder may be active or inactive at the time of his or her election. And a referee or linesperson must have not participated as a referee in professional or international in 3 playing seasons. Yep. Annual number of 4 male inductees and 2 female inductees, 2 builders, and 1 linesperson or referee. The nomination, only members of the Hockey Hall of Fame Selection Committee may submit official nominations of candidates into the honored membership, such as, each member of the Hockey Hall of Fame Committee, that's 18 members, 1 nomination for player, 1 nomination for builder, and 1 nomination for referee linesperson for each annual election proceeding. Submission policies, blah, blah, blah. And who were eligible this year? Brian Boyle, Tyler Bozak, Dustin Brown, Zdeno Chara, Bruins captain, former number 1 draft pick too. I think way back in 1992, or maybe 91, 93. He was drafted first round draft pick. He was first round defenseman, drafted by the New York Islanders. I remember this because he was the biggest NHL player ever at 6'9", and Zdeno Chara needed two. The team needed to cobble together two, I believe, extra large jerseys or double extra large jerseys and sew them together to make his, jersey to be given to him on draft day. They had something to wear. Blake Comeau, Trevor Daley, Ryan Getzlaff, Andy Green, Duncan Keith, Andy Ladd, James Neal, James Franson, Roman Polak, Brad Richardson, Chris Russell, Andre Sekera, Jason Spezza, and BK Subban, Joe Thornton, former Boston Bruin captain, one of my favorite Bruins, Jumbo Joe. He has so many. He's got no Stanley Cups, but he has racked up so many points and so many assists. He played for San Jose Sharks for so long and had that iconic beard, and he's just like this. He didn't thrive. He was our number one draft pick. I think it was 1996. We had two number one draft picks that year, Sergei Samsonov, and the higher one was Joe Thornton, and he was the pick. He was like the belle of the ball. But he never developed that mean streak. That was just never his style of hockey, though. But in Boston, that's what we call big bad Bruins hockey. We need a mean streak. That's what we love that in a player. And that was just never Jumbo Joe's style. And so we traded him to the San Jose Sharks for Marco Sturm, and who ended up being a Bruin for several years, a great Bruin, and also he just got hired. Marco Sturm has just been hired as the head coach of the Boston Bruins going forward. So there we go. Because Jumbo Joe made it into the Hall of Fame. He did. And goalies, Mike Smith, Tuukka Rask is eligible for the Hall of Fame. He's got one Stanley Cup title, but that's because he was riding pine behind what's his face? I got his jersey. Oh, geez. It'll come back to me. Carey Price. Wow. Devin Dubnik. Braden Holtby. Wow. Who's got Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals. The James Norris Trophy. So how many these are the people that won awards. Zdeno Chara, he won the Norris Trophy. Duncan Keith, he was former three-time Stanley Cup winner in Chicago. Conn Smythe Trophy winner as MVP in 2015. He won against the Boston Bruins. Or was it 2013? No, he won in 2011, 2013, 2017. All right. Norris Trophy winner. That's the best defenseman of the league. Tuukka Rask. Yeah, he split the Vienza Trophy in 2014, and the Williams Jennings Trophy, and blah blah blah. The Art Ross. That's an MVP. The Hart Trophy, 2006. Big year for Joe Thornton. And statistically, these are all the players that haven't been named yet, that could be named. Wow. But who made it into the Hall of Fame this year? We only got 4 players, and there was share screen. Chara, Thornton among new Hockey Hall of Fame candidates for a class of 2025. June 23rd. Oh, so this is it's not the induction. Here we go. Jack Parker, coach of Boston University, made it to the Hockey Hall of Fame as a coach this year. Danielle Savageau, she's a women's hockey coach. Zdeno Chara made it. Duncan Keith, Alexander McGillney of the of the Buffalo Sabres, number 89. He finally made his NHL debut on October 5th, 1989. That was his number, was 89. And that was back when hockey numbers weren't that big. I mean, Wayne Gretzky wore 99. And that was Phil Esposito wore 77 in New York for the Rangers. Ray Bourque ended up wearing 77 because Phil Esposito's 7 got retired in Boston. Eric Lindros got drafted, and he was like number 88, and that was a big deal because it was just like it's a big number, big double numbers. They're they weren't big. I mean, at one time, and the league was a lot smaller before the first kind of like initial rounds of expansion in the early 1990s when San Jose and Ottawa, became part of an ever-growing NHL. Then Minnesota moved to Dallas, and then came there was another 2000 expand. Then Hartford moved to North Carolina, to Raleigh, and it was a big time for the NHL. But Alexander McGillney defected from the Soviet Union. He was an asylum seeker, and it was an emergency case of immigration. If it wasn't for, he fled the Soviet Union to come to America to find a better place. And so he risked a lot defecting from the Soviet Union, which would, fall under the weight of its own inertia only a few years later. Alexander McGillney made his debut in 1989 with the Buffalo Sabres, where he had a 76-goal season in 92-93 and led the team in scoring in 94-95. He later did play for the Vancouver Canucks. He ended his career in New Jersey on the Devils. I remember that. And he won the Stanley Cup that year, too, with the Devils. He's a great hockey player, and I'm very proud of him, especially because Buffalo was a division rival, especially back in the old Jack Adams division days. Adams division dumping Chase Hockey, and the Boston Bruins faced the Buffalo Sabres, what it appeared to be all the time. And 1997, Jumbo Joe, how is it? He'll go in the Hall of Fame as a San Jose Shark because that's who he ended up being. Northern Californian, crunchy style. You know what I mean? That's exactly who Joe Thornton grew up to be. I am so proud of him. I still have his. I should be wearing. Oh, sorry, Joe. I got your Boston All-Star jersey. 90. He had someone else, Steve Yzerman. Why he wears 19? Because they had the same All-Star team. So he wore 91 that year, and I have that All-Star jersey, Joe Thornton All-Star jersey still. Yeah. And he was traded in 2005. And he started as number 6, and then he dropped that number for number 19, jersey number 19, out of deference to his favorite player, Steve Yzerman, who was a legendary 2-time Stanley Cup winner in Detroit, the Detroit Red Wings, in that amazing days. Mike Vernon, you know what I mean? Kostizov and Kozlov on the defense. You even had Chelios for a few years. Love those Detroit teams of the 90s. And that is the Hockey Hall of Fame this year. Yeah, we also got Jennifer Botterill and Brianna Decker for the ladies. Jennifer Botterill, she's from a hockey family. I've heard of her brother Jason, who was a number 1 draft pick at one point. Played minor hockey in ringette, which is like I don't know ringette. It's a big Canadian sport. It's a form of hockey. I think it's floor. Is that floor hockey in a way? And as a native of Trenčín, Slovakia, Zdeno Chara was a third round selection of the New York Islanders in 1996. Really? Oh, I thought he was. I thought he was like he was a big one. He was a big one. Made his debut in 1997. He was traded to the Ottawa Senators, and then we picked him up from the Ottawa Senators as a free agent, and then we hired him, and we instantly gave him the captaincy, and an amazing defenseman, and he helped us win the Stanley Cup in 2011 in that magical year, that magical team. He's a Bruin, 6'9", and I love his story, like, because his father was a 1976 Czechoslovakian wrestler in the Summer Olympics, and so he grew up in this, like. So what is that? Is that Big Z? He like does like Ironman competitions and bike tours. You know what I mean? Just he's a consummate athlete, and he gets it from his dad, who was also a professional athlete, or an Olympic level athlete. And so these charming, like, little stories that you get on the cable TV, between periods. And it's like Zdeno Chara going home to Czech Republic, and his dad is always like, come on, Z, let's wrestle a bit. He's like, I've been wrestling my father all my life, because it's just how he, show affection and horseplay, and he's teaching me about his sport. And so apparently Zdeno's a really good wrestler, but he's like his dad, who's like about typical height, about 5'10", 5'9", compared to his son, 6'9". He's like, but my father always wins when we wrestle. And it's not like he lets him win. He's just like, no. He's just that good. So I think that helped establish this weird respect and muscle memory in my former captain, Zdeno Chara, being 6'9", having the ability to really clobber another player with your body size, with your a couple of strides from him, he can cover a lot more space, especially with his reach, and he's allowed to have a stick appropriate to his size, and so he's going to be able to poke check more effectively and sweep check and use the body, and which he did, but he never hurt people out on the ice. He didn't really clobber people. He could, and he has, and he was a fierce, tenacious, tough Bruin. He was a Bruins Bruin too, and I was so proud to have him be the captain of my Stanley Cup winning 2011 team with Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, Sean Thornton, Mark Recchi, and Tim Taylor. That was my goalie, and Tuukka Rask was his backup. And just what a great team that was. And he's in, and Zdeno Chara is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So congratulations to all the Hockey Hall of Fame members, and congratulations, and looking forward to these young guns getting drafted, giving hope, this next generation, this incoming crop, the hockey draft. This is big news in any of the big sports. Well, not so much in baseball, but baseball has a big developmental thing. I mean, football's huge, and so is basketball, but hockey is definitely up there. I think the hockey draft is a lot more important and significant than the baseball draft in a way. I don't know. What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know. What do you feel about that? So it's been draft weekend, the Hockey Hall of Fame, and also coming this very week, July 1st, is the opening of free agency. And it kind of looks like slim pickings to me, looking at that list of available talent. And let's see who goes where in the musical chairs of professional hockey. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Smoking Puck. It's my Boston-based homegrown hockey column, now in video format. And be looking forward to next week. We'll talk about free agency, who's on what teams, and maybe even go through one of my favorite things, hockey jerseys and hockey uniforms. Look at third jerseys. I love the hockey jersey. It's one of the best sports uniforms ever. The Bruins have just changed their jersey and reverting to a retro kind of style that was so this is an end of an era. It really is. It's a time of change. A new coach, new captain. We're gonna have to name a captain. You can't, that's just okay. It's time. Someone's got to step up and lead that locker room with a new coach and a new direction. The Bruins are rebuilding. And I'm keeping an eye out on my captain, Brad Marchand, and where you end up after July 1st. Will he sign before July 1st? You know what I mean? Or is it just, he should just wait and just hear what the league has to offer him and be like, wow. And to be like, can you match this? And they might say, no, Brad, we can't match that. That's out of our range. And Brad would have to talk to his wife and be like, baby, like what's the best thing for us? Can we live in Detroit for 3 years and those winters and everything? You know what I mean? It's unrestricted free agency. For one, I think that Brad Marchand is the belle of the ball of the 2025 unrestricted free agent market. And Ekblad as well is he's a close second, but it just might be a formality for him to remain a career-long Florida Panther. That's impressive. Do I see Brad Marchand coming back to Boston? No effing way. No, it's not going to happen. Do I see Brad Marchand going to a place like the Detroit Red Wings, where his brand of hockey suits the city style? Could you see a Motor City Marshy? I could. And if I do, I'm going to get that C, and I'm going to get a 63 on this blank jersey of mine. That's why I'm like, I think that, maybe. What will the gallery gods proclaim and judge from up on high in Olympus Fair? Okay, well, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you like hockey talk. I know we're getting ready for next season, and I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna keep on keeping on with the Smoking Puck. It's a lifelong love of mine. I love hockey, and this is what we do here on YouTube. We share the love, and sometimes just the outrage too, seriously. But that's being a sports fan, Well, God bless, namaste, good luck, and we will see you with more Smoking Puck. Drop that puck, lace him up. Old time hockey. Eddie Shore.